Orphan girl sacked because she refused to do it with her boss. But a billionaire showed up, and what happened next? Hello family, welcome back. Please do well to subscribe, and let's know where you are watching the story from in the comment section. Emily wiped the sweat from her brow, her thin fingers trembling slightly as she clutched her mop. The office hallway was empty except for the soft hum of a broken ceiling light. It flickered above her, casting long, shaky shadows on the polished floor. Emily moved quietly, her sneakers silent on the tile. She knew her place. Clean up, stay invisible, don't make trouble. That's how she survived. But tonight, something felt off. She was almost done with the top floor when Mr. Harris, the office manager, appeared at the end of the hallway. He wore his usual expensive suit and fake, oily smile. He'd stayed late, which he never did, unless he had a reason. "Emily," he called, voice echoing. "Can you come here for a second?" Emily stiffened, her stomach tightening. She glanced at the clock. 10:27 p.m. She needed to finish and catch the last bus. But she forced a smile and walked over, head down. "Yes, sir?" Mr. Harris leaned against the doorframe to his office. He watched her, eyes moving up and down. Emily felt small. She tried to hide the worry in her voice. "Is something wrong?" she asked. He shook his head, grinning. No, just wanted to chat." He opened his office door wider. "Come inside, Emily." Closed the door. She hesitated but obeyed. She stepped into the office, the smell of strong cologne and old coffee mixing in the air. The city lights twinkled through the big windows behind his desk. He sat, motioning for her to stand by the chair. "You've been working here almost a year now, haven't you?" he began. "Yes, sir," Emily replied quietly. "I'm grateful for the job." He smiled. "You do good work. Hard to find workers like you. Always quiet, always on time. But, loyalty isn't just about cleaning floors." Emily's hands clenched at her sides. "I try my best, sir." He rolled his chair closer. The smile faded. "Emily, you're a smart girl. You know how things work here. I could help you out. Give you a better position. Maybe more pay." He lowered his voice. "All you have to do is prove you really want it." Emily's heart pounded. She understood. She'd heard rumors, seen the way he watched the other women. But this was happening to her. She shook her head. "I can't do that, sir." He raised an eyebrow. "Why not? Who would know? Don't you want a better life?" Emily took a deep breath, her voice trembling. "I just want to work, sir. I need this job, but not like that." The smile vanished completely. Harris's face darkened. "Think about your future. Orphan girls like you don't get many chances. Don't be stupid." Tears pricked at Emily's eyes, but she held her ground. "I won't do it. I'm sorry." He stood up, suddenly furious. "You're making a mistake. Get out." Emily fled the office, her face burning with shame and anger. She grabbed her cleaning cart and pushed it to the supply closet, blinking back tears. She felt his eyes on her, but she didn't look back. Emily got home late. Her tiny apartment was one room, barely big enough for her and the cot she slept on. She dropped her bag and checked her phone for missed calls from Sister Agnes, the director at the orphanage where she grew up. Emily called back, trying to steady her voice. "Emily, thank goodness," Sister Agnes said. "We need your help. 2 of the little ones are sick, nothing serious, but they need medicine. Can you send anything this week?" Emily swallowed hard. Of course, sister. I'll figure something out." She hung up, staring at her ceiling. She had $50 to her name. She needed this job not just for herself, but for those kids who still believed in her. The next morning, Emily arrived at work early, hoping last night's nightmare would fade away. She changed into her uniform, tied her hair back, and walked to her locker. A white envelope was taped to the door. Her name was written on it in big black letters. She opened it, hands shaking. "Emily Johnson, your services are no longer required. Return your uniform and keys by end of day." No reason, no signature, no final paycheck. She slumped to the floor, clutching the letter. One of the other cleaners, an older woman named Linda, walked by and saw her. "Emily, what happened?" Linda asked. Emily handed her the letter. Linda shook her head. "He did this, didn't he? Mr. Harris." Emily nodded, wiping her eyes. Linda lowered her voice. "You're not the first, you know. He did this to Marta, too." She complained, and she was gone the next day. Emily's breath came in shaky bursts. "What am I supposed to do?" Linda squeezed her shoulder. "You're brave, Emily. Don't let him make you feel small. Something good will come, you'll see." But Emily couldn't believe it. She turned in her keys, her head spinning. She walked out of the building, feeling like a ghost. Emily sat on a park bench for hours, numb with shock. The city moved around her. Cars honking, people laughing, life carrying on. But for her, everything had stopped. She called Sister Agnes again. "Emily, is everything okay?" the old woman asked. Emily's voice cracked. "I lost my job. Oh dear. I'm so sorry, Emily. I wish we could help." But Emily cut her off. "It's all right, sister. I'll find something. Tell the kids I love them." She hung up, fighting tears. She felt so useless. She thought about the nights she spent at the orphanage as a child, clutching her blanket, dreaming of a better life. Now she was grown, and the world seemed even colder. A sudden downpour began, soaking her through. She stayed on the bench, too tired to move. She thought about going back to the office, begging Mr. Harris for another chance. But her stomach turned at the thought. A man hurried past, holding an umbrella. He paused, looking at her. "Are you all right?" he asked. Emily shook her head, too embarrassed to speak. He offered his umbrella, but she just shook her head again, curling into herself. He left, and Emily stayed alone in the rain, the world growing darker with each drop. That night, Emily wandered the streets, clutching her thin jacket tight around her. She ducked into a laundromat, hoping to dry off and gather her thoughts. She sat by the window, watching the city lights blur through the raindrops. A little boy wandered in, holding a worn-out teddy bear. He stared at Emily with big, curious eyes. "Are you sad?" he asked. Emily managed a weak smile. "A little. Are you lost?" He shook his head. "My mom is folding clothes. She says everyone has sad days, but happy ones come too." Emily nodded, her heart aching. "Your mom is right." The boy handed her his teddy bear. "He helps me when I'm scared." Emily blinked back tears. She hugged the bear, just for a moment, before handing it back. "Thank you," she whispered. The boy ran back to his mother, who waved at Emily kindly. For a brief moment, Emily felt less alone. By midnight, Emily made her way back to her tiny apartment. She lay on her cot, shivering, replaying Mr. Harris's words over and over. "Orphan girls like you don't get many chances." But Emily promised herself, through the hunger and the tears, that she would never give up her dignity, no matter how bad things got. She clung to that hope as she drifted into uneasy sleep, never knowing that everything was about to change. If you haven't subscribed yet, I'd love you to join our community by hitting the subscribe button. Through our stories, we build hope and give future to children and women abused all over the world. Also let us know in the comments where you are watching us from and how this story hit home for you. Emily woke up to a sharp chill in the air and the dull ache of hunger twisting in her stomach. She lay for a moment, staring at the cracked ceiling, willing herself to get up. She couldn't afford to waste time. The kids at the orphanage were waiting on her. Sister Agnes had said the younger ones were sick. She needed money for medicine. But all she had left in her wallet was a $10 bill and a handful of coins. She opened her phone, heart pounding with hope and fear. She scrolled through job ads, sent off desperate applications, and left messages at every cleaning agency in the city. She even called a few restaurants and grocery stores, but no one was hiring. One manager, after hearing her name, said, "Sorry, we just filled that spot," and hung up before she could plead. Emily walked the streets with her last bit of energy, clutching her thin coat tighter around her shoulders. Every time she saw a help-wanted sign, she went in, smiled as best she could, and asked for work. But something was wrong. Everyone seemed to know her name. People whispered when she walked by, and a few managers looked away, uncomfortable. Finally, she stopped at a small diner on the corner, the kind of place where everyone knew each other. The waitress at the counter gave her a pitying smile. "Looking for work, honey?" she asked. Emily nodded. "Anything. I can wash dishes, sweep, mop floors. Please." The waitress glanced around, then lowered her voice. "Are you the girl from Harris's office? Emily, right?" Emily's face went pale. "Yes. How did you?" The woman sighed. "Word gets around. He called here, said you were trouble. Said you steal." Emily's mouth fell open. "That's not true. I never stole anything. Please, I just need." The waitress shook her head. "I believe you, but the boss can't take a risk." "I'm sorry." Emily thanked her, voice barely a whisper. She left the diner, every step heavier than the last. The shame stung, but the anger stung more. Mr. Harris hadn't just fired her. He'd poisoned her name. Now no one would hire her. She wondered how many other girls had gone through the same thing, how many had caved just to keep their jobs. Emily's phone buzzed. It was Sister Agnes again. "Emily, did you find anything yet?" Her voice was hopeful but tired. Emily swallowed. "Not yet, sister. I'm still looking." Sister Agnes's silence lasted a moment too long. "We're all praying for you, dear. The children miss you. I know you'll make it through." After the call, Emily sat on the steps outside a closed shop, her face in her hands. The sun was setting, turning the city gold and pink, but Emily felt only cold. Her mind raced. Maybe she should leave the city, start over somewhere no one knew her. But how? She didn't even have enough for a bus ticket. Her stomach growled. She realized she hadn't eaten all day. She checked her pockets, counted her coins, and bought a cheap sandwich from a street vendor. She ate it slowly, stretching the moment as long as she could. A cold wind picked up, and she wandered the streets, her eyes blurry with exhaustion. In front of a brightly lit bakery, she stopped, watching people inside laughing and sipping coffee. A wave of loneliness crashed over her, and she almost walked away, until she saw a man arguing with the cashier. He was older, well-dressed, his voice sharp and impatient. Emily stepped inside, drawn by the warmth. The cashier's eyes flicked to her, as if silently asking for help. "Excuse me," Emily said, her voice shaky but clear. "Is there a problem?" The man glared at her. "Mind your business." But the cashier stepped forward. "He wants a refund for food he already ate." Emily looked at the man, then the cashier. "I'm sure you can sort it out," she said, trying to sound braver than she felt. The man huffed, threw some coins on the counter, and stormed out. The cashier let out a sigh of relief. "Thank you," she said quietly. "People like him think they can do whatever they want." Emily managed a weak smile. "I know how that feels." The cashier looked at her with understanding. "You hungry? Wait here." A moment later, she handed Emily a paper bag with a sandwich and a small bottle of juice. "On the house." Emily hesitated, but hunger won out. "Thank you. Really." The cashier smiled. "Pay it forward if you ever get the chance." Emily ate on a bench outside, grateful for the small kindness. She told herself she'd find a way to help someone else someday if she ever got back on her feet. As she finished, she noticed a well-dressed man sitting under the awning of the cafe across the street. He was watching her, not in a threatening way but curious. Their eyes met for a moment and Emily quickly looked away, nervous. The man stood and crossed the street toward her, moving with a quiet confidence that made him seem out of place here. "Excuse me," he said, stopping a few feet away. "Are you all right?" Emily hesitated, unsure whether to answer. He tried a gentle smile. "I saw you help the cashier. Not everyone would do that." She shrugged. "It was nothing. Anyone would." "Not everyone," he replied. Emily glanced away. "Do you need something?" He shook his head. "No. Just wanted to make sure you were okay." She almost laughed. A short, bitter sound. "I'm fine." Just a little down on my luck. That's all. He studied her, thoughtful. If you could change one thing in your life right now, what would it be? The question caught her off guard. She thought of the orphanage, Sister Agnes, the children, who still believed the world was good. I'd help the kids at my old shelter, she said quietly. They're all I have left. I just want them to be safe. He nodded slowly. That's a good answer. Emily frowned, confused. Who was this man? Why did he care? He reached into his pocket and handed her a business card. If you need real help, come see me. I run a foundation a few blocks from here. My name's Nathan. Emily stared at the card. Nathan Grant. She'd heard the name before. People said he was rich, generous, but very private. Why me? She asked, suspicion creeping into her voice. Nathan shrugged. Sometimes the right people show up when you need them most. Think about it. He walked away, disappearing into the crowd. Emily turned the card over in her hands. She didn't know if she could trust him, but what choice did she have? She looked up at the darkening sky, hope flickering to life in her chest for the first time in days. She tucked the card into her pocket. Her decision not yet made, but her heart a little lighter. Maybe, just maybe, her luck was about to change. Emily spent the night staring at Nathan's card. She ran her fingers over his name again and again, wondering if he really meant what he said. She was used to disappointment, empty promises, and people who vanished when she needed them. But something about Nathan's eyes, clear, steady, and kind, made her want to believe. The next morning, she made up her mind. She dressed in her cleanest shirt and pants, brushed her hair, and tried to hide the dark circles under her eyes. She clutched her last few coins and took the bus across town, heart pounding with each stop. The foundation's building was bright and busy, nothing like the cold glass towers where she'd cleaned floors. Kids ran in and out, volunteers stacked boxes, and the lobby smelled of fresh coffee and hope. Emily paused at the door, afraid she didn't belong. But the receptionist noticed her and smiled. Can I help you? I'm here to see Nathan Grant. He gave me this. She held out the card, hands shaking. The receptionist's eyes lit up. You're Emily. He's expecting you. Please have a seat. Emily sat, legs jittery, until Nathan walked in, dressed in jeans and a blue shirt, looking more like a volunteer than a billionaire. He smiled as if they were old friends. Emily, I'm glad you came. She stood, suddenly nervous. I didn't know if you were serious. I was, he said, leading her down a hallway. I meant what I said. We help people here, and sometimes we hire them. I have an opening for an assistant. It's more responsibility than cleaning, but I think you're up for it. Emily's breath caught. Why me? Nathan stopped and looked her in the eye. Because you didn't walk away from someone else's problem even when your life was falling apart. I need people I can trust. Emily stared at her shoes. I need this job. More than anything. I know. But I have to ask. Are you honest? Even when no one is watching. She nodded. Yes. Nathan handed her a small locked briefcase. Good. I want you to deliver this to our partner. Shelter on the other side of town. Don't open it. Don't let it out of your sight. When you get there, hand it to Mrs. Lee. Come right back. Can you do that? Emily nodded, clutching the case. I can. He smiled. I believe you. But remember, this is a test of trust. Emily set off through the busy city streets, clutching the briefcase so tightly her fingers hurt. The wind stung her cheeks, and her nerves buzzed in her chest. She knew people watched her, some curious, some judging, but she focused only on the task, refusing to let her doubts win. Halfway there, at a crowded crosswalk, someone brushed against her. A fat envelope slipped out of their coat, landing near Emily's feet. She picked it up automatically. The stranger turned, panic in his eyes. My money. Please, I dropped my money. Emily hesitated. She looked at the envelope, bursting with bills. Her rent, food, and the Children's medicine flashed through her mind. For a split second, the old pain and hunger made her fingers itch. No one would know. She took a breath and handed it over. You dropped this. The man snatched the envelope back, barely grunting a thank you before rushing away. Emily's stomach rumbled. She kept walking head high. At the shelter, Mrs. Lee met her at the door, eyes kind but sharp. Emily handed over the briefcase without a word. Thank you, Mrs. Lee said, setting the case on her desk without opening it. You did well, Emily. Emily hurried back to Nathan's foundation, nerves on fire, wondering if she'd done enough. Nathan was waiting, alone in his office, watching the window. Did everything go okay? He asked. Yes, Emily said. I gave the case to Mrs. Lee. Nathan studied her face, searching for something. You're sure you didn't open it? Or take anything that wasn't yours? Emily shook her head, meeting his gaze. No, I didn't. Nathan broke into a slow smile. You passed, Emily. That was the test. Emily's heart jumped. Test. He nodded. Sometimes people show you who they are when they think no one's watching. You proved you're honest, even when things are hard. That matters more to me than any resume. She stood silent, hardly daring to hope. Nathan continued, voice softening. You're hired, and you'll do more than just assist me. I want you to help run our programs for kids like the ones at your old shelter. You'll have a say, a salary, and real security. Emily could barely speak. Thank you. I don't know what to say. Nathan shook her hand, steady and warm. Just keep being yourself. For the first time in a long while, Emily felt something she thought she'd lost, a real sense of belonging. She smiled, tears blurring her vision, and promised herself that she would never let Nathan down. The world was still hard, but maybe she'd finally found a place where she could fight for hope and win. Emily's first real morning at the foundation felt like stepping into a new life. She moved through the halls with a strange mix of excitement and disbelief, soaking in the laughter of kids and the kindness of staff. Everyone treated her like she belonged. Nathan introduced her as someone who knows how to fight for what's right. The words warmed her, but also made her nervous. She didn't want to let anyone down. She threw herself into her work. She learned fast, taking calls, organizing donations, setting up programs for the kids. Nathan gave her real responsibility, and for the first time, Emily felt her hard work mattered. Every day, she called Sister Agnes at the orphanage, promising that help was coming soon. A week later, Nathan called her into his office. He closed the door, his expression serious but gentle. Emily, I have something for you. He handed her a folder. Inside was a document. The foundation had just donated enough money to the orphanage to cover all expenses for the next 5 years, food, medicine, books, even repairs to the old building. Emily blinked at the paper, her hands trembling. Is this real? Nathan nodded. It's real. You earned this. You fought for those kids when you had nothing left. Now they'll never have to worry again. Tears stung her eyes, but Emily just laughed and hugged him before she could stop herself. For the first time since she'd left the orphanage, she felt her burdens lift. The fear, the shame, the worry, all of it was replaced by relief and gratitude. That afternoon, she called Sister Agnes and told her the news. On the other end of the line, she heard children cheering Sister Agnes, sobbing with happiness. But the story wasn't over yet. A few days later, the foundation's lawyer came in with news. Emily, he said, the board wants to speak to you about something important. She followed him down the hall to a small conference room. Seated inside was a panel of directors, and, to her shock, Mr. Harris, looking pale and uneasy. He avoided her eyes. Nathan stood beside her. Emily, we wanted you to be here for this, he said quietly. One of the board members spoke. We've received several complaints about Mr. Harris's conduct at your former job. After a formal investigation, it's clear he's been abusing his power. For years, thanks to your courage and others finally coming forward, he's being removed from his position and facing legal action. Mr. Harris started to protest, but his words fell flat. No one believed his excuses. Emily stood, tall, heart-pounding, as justice caught up to the man who had once made her feel so small. The meeting ended, and Mr. Harris left in disgrace, his power gone. When they stepped outside, Nathan turned to her. "You didn't just save yourself, Emily. You made things right for everyone who came after you." That night, Emily walked home under a sky full of stars, thinking about how quickly life could change. A week ago, she'd been hungry and hopeless on a rainy park bench. Now she was someone who mattered, someone who had stood up for herself and others. Months passed. Emily became a cornerstone of the foundation. She started new projects for young people who needed a second chance. She never forgot where she came from or the kids, who still needed someone to believe in them. On a sunny Saturday, Emily visited the orphanage with Nathan. The children rushed to greet her, arms open, faces bright. Sister Agnes welcomed them inside, beaming with pride. As Emily knelt to tie a little girl's shoe, the child looked up at her and whispered, "I want to be strong like you when I grow up." Emily smiled, her heart full. "You already are, and no matter what happens, never let anyone make you feel less than you are. Hold on to your hope. It's the one thing no one can ever take away." Standing by the window, watching the children play, Nathan looked over. "You know, Emily, luck isn't always about money or timing. Sometimes it's about finding the right people when you need them most." Emily nodded. "And never giving up, no matter how bad things get." The world outside was still tough, but inside, hope burned bright. A light for everyone who needed it, shining from the heart of a girl who once refused to give up her dignity, no matter what the world threw at her.